everybody. So our next guest knows a thing or two about security. He spent over 2 decades in federal public service, serving border security and the Canadian Armed Forces.
Wow, and he also offers classes to everyday citizens about how we can all stay safe in our day-to-day lives. He's here to share some of that knowledge with us today. Please welcome President and Director of Training at True North Tradecraft, Boris Milinkovich.
Excited to have you here. I actually took one of your courses for an entire day, and it was so fascinating. I walked out of there like, I can take on the world. And you really stress situational awareness. So break that down. What does that even mean?
Well, fundamental to keeping ourselves safe and secure, it's understanding what is going on in our environment. So using all of our senses to take in our environment and identify things that will either harm us or help us.
Oh, I love that. Okay,
all right, so I'd love for you to walk us through some of the situational awareness, and you're gonna head over to the stairs of our studio and just kind of walk us through the tips of what we should know when we walk into a new environment.
So when I walk into a new environment, much like this studio, I wanna pay attention to things as I'm coming in. So when I came in, one of the things that would help me was the first aid kit and the AED by the front door.
Oh, wow.
So you never know, you might be able to help somebody that way. Things that might harm me, so maybe a fire breaks out here in the studio. How do I get out? So I want to make sure that I identify things like the emergency exits, not just the place I came from, but where I can go to. We're not too far off the main floor, so maybe a window might be an option for me, right? So these sorts of things are important for me to understand and keep in the back of my mind. Also protection, so where I'm in a new space, whether it's indoors or outdoors, where I can get behind something to protect myself from bullets, bad guys, what have you. Things like concrete pillars or planters out on the road, that sort of stuff on the sidewalks, buildings that I can get behind, that sort of thing.
Okay, neat. Okay. I mean, basic, right?
So very simple stuff, but it's effective.
Yeah. Okay, so I want to break down, though, like, what is the difference between maybe getting too paranoid about something and then maybe feeling empowered? In other words, we don't want to walk into a space and feel paranoid. So what is the difference between, let's say, paranoia and being prepared?
So paranoia is informed by fear, whereas being prepared is informed by facts and information. So we want to focus on what is actually in our environment, like I said, which would help us or hurt us, versus the floor is lava and I can't walk through, or there's a bad guy behind every light post or something. So we want to really just focus on being aware, taking it for what it is rather than what it could be, but also understanding at the same time that bad things do happen to good people, and we need to be ready to take action to put ourselves in a better position.
All right, so Boris, okay, say we find ourselves in a threatening situation. How do we know when we should stay and fight and when we should take off and run for our lives?
Generally, we advocate that you don't get into a violent confrontation with someone. There's too many variables as to how that may go. So look for an opportunity to avoid it or escape it. When we teach our classes, some of our training partners like Delta to Alpha Design, for instance, will teach combatives to strike somebody or something to create that window of escape.
Yes.
We're not looking to get into it with them. We're looking to create a window to escape and, be as safe as possible. We don't know, do they have a weapon? Do they, are there more of them? That sort of thing. They've taken us by surprise. We just want to be able to get ourselves out of that situation as quickly as possible.
I love that. Okay, so let's say you do encounter that threatening person. You often say it's about changing the narrative.
Yes.
So what does that even mean?
Most predators out there look for victims, and when they do, they have a script in their head as to what's going to happen. What we look at doing is flipping that script and taking the decision-making power away from that predator and putting it back to some degree in our own hands. Part of the class you attended, where we taught self-rescue from restraints, that's a military system developed by Fortac 5 in England, and we're one of their instructors. And one of those things is switching that script where you may be restrained, you may be in a bad position, but if you can change that script, you can now take power back and start saving yourself in that situation.
Okay, we love that. All right, so let's talk about our personal home security for a second, because I feel like every time I turn on the news, there's another story about a break-in, and there's all of these things that are happening, and home invasions around the city. So how can we make our house less of a target for the thieves?
So when we teach physical security, what's happening here in the GTA most recently, so we have things like vehicle thefts and home break-ins, is thieves are looking at what the risk versus reward is to go after those items. Vehicles specifically, people are doing things like putting in bollards or whatever. And
What's a bollard?
It's like a big metal post that comes, or concrete post that comes out of the ground, and you park your car and it comes up behind it, and
you can't pull your car.
So you can't move the car out, right? So companies like Ford/Toronto and stuff like that can install that, and it's remote control, and it saves your car. But when it comes to your home or your business, what we want to do is look at making the risk versus reward not palatable to the bad guys, to the thieves, right? If we have lights and cameras that gives them exposure, easier for them to be caught afterwards. If we upgrade our locks, most people's locks are very inexpensive, bought at big box stores, but the investment can have someone casing your house and looking at what you've done, better locks, cameras, lights,
it's not
having
worth it
a
for
dog,
them.
for instance, and makes them think that it's not worth the time and effort and go to someone else.
Yeah, awesome. Boris, it's great. Like I said, it's empowerment over being scared, and you brought a bit of that today, so thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Good to see you again.
Good to see you. Good to see you. All right, everybody, after the break, it is the Social's Ultimate Summer Showdown, and we are going to battle it out to see who knows their pop culture trivia best. We'll be back right after this. Definitely you.